Hi there. Just some updates about another thread in my life, which is my criminal injury case because of historic abuse. Um, we're sort of at a point where we can begin to review what the lawyer has taken down, and also fold in that the clinical report that my psychologist has been preparing. And I just sent some supporting statements so that she can do a bit of a cross check. I watched a video of a South Asian man and his experiences with his father and how his father kind of involved other men in his abuse. Really difficult to watch, so yeah. But it's reminded me how much kind of collusion can go on in families. If you're gay, if you're lesbian, if you're trans. And one of the things that really stops you from being able to move forward is the shame that's somehow brought down on you if you disclose. And disclosure is an attempt to get outside of it and get support. And in this case, I guess in contemporary times, hopefully justice. If you're from a community or a context where you don't have necessarily instantly a good relationship with the police or a kind of protective factor within the family, that you don't go and report these things, that can also be something that potentially works against you in the long run, because so many years have gone past, and albeit in my case I was a child, also in my family sometimes when the topic would come up, and it didn't a lot after the disclosure, but by certain members of the family, including my dad's family, they'd say, well, he was abused by the brothers, as a sort of, I don't know, some kind of justification and a way of minimising what I went through, which I, did not know how to respond to, because there's a cultural myth that people who have been abused, that there's just a natural succession, which actually doesn't hold up to scrutiny. And I know this from being a survivor, because I've never remotely had any inclination towards abusing others, and it's anathema to me, and I don't want any child to ever go through this again, from whatever community. In this country, male survivors and especially trans survivors are really underserved, and they were when I first sought support back in the early 90s, and I was thrust into housing crisis as well. I reported as well to Casa House, but no one gave me any directions around reporting or legal remedies or anything like that. I mean, apparently they just were not trauma informed back then. So it's really after all these years that I've reached this point where, in my healing and in my kind of resolve, that I'm willing to actually look over my life and see how much it's impacted me and shaped, but isn't who I am. And so being able to separate out the shame and also realize that the blame goes on the systems, the blame goes on the perpetrator, is really important. I'm sorry if this is really hard to hear, because especially if you've experienced abuse yourself, but I do think that it's helpful as a resource to know that there is support out there. For example, I work as a peer support worker for SAMSN, which is the Survivors and Mates Support Network. They've been pivotal for me actually taking stock of everything after all these years, but subsequently being able to advocate and work with others as a peer has been a turning point as well. So yeah, I'm going to put down some support services alongside SAMSN if you're in this situation yourself. Obviously, I can't suggest everything, but different organisations can give you guidance in today's day and age. Take care, everyone, and thanks for listening.